Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who don't know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years of experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this, this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Mmtlp and some important legal updates, including a new legal challenge against the OTC markets where immunity does not apply. We're also going to be looking at ticker symbol TNON, which has been doing exceptionally well, so stay tuned for that. So before we get started, let's have a look at what's happening in the markets. So first headline here from Market Watch, the Dow Jones falls 200 points as the Fed's Powell says higher rates may be needed with Treasury auction currently weak. So there was a 9-day winning streak for the S&P 500 and it would have been the longest since 2004, but the remarks from Powell have put a stop to that. And what we can see is that he did state here that he was gratified by lower inflation but sees a long way to go. So obviously inflation has not hit the target, but in other news here that was also shared live in the Discord, we have been seeing Bitcoin jumping to the highest level since May 2022. I believe it also went well in excess of $36,000. So good news here also for the crypto stocks. So before we look at the new legal updates, quick reminder of a previous video where we've been doing an update on response to FINRA's FAQs part 2. So this is some of the questions that I think I identified in terms of what they did not add into their FAQs part 2, and that was first of all one of the most important questions that we need to have addressed, and that was why was Mmtlp allowed to trade and who was behind it. And I believe the latest legal challenges are also going to try to get to the bottom of this. There have also been no questions with regard to the role of Harry Rubenstein, Canaccord and GTS. Obviously no mention of the FOAI in terms of fraud uncovered, and obviously they talked about blue sheeting the data and the role of Sam Draddy, and also in terms of their intention to create certainty with the U3 halt. Do they believe that has happened, and do they believe retail investors are now better off in terms of the action they took to protect investors? So was their objective achieved? They also stated, surprisingly, that there are first of all no evidence of counterfeit shares, but then they also stated we don't know what counterfeit shares are. So a little bit of a contradiction there, and no explanation in terms of why they ghosted John Bird and the team and did not attend their meeting in terms of the company, and also failed to share any information. They refused company request to allow a period of close-only trades to settle the positions and obviously end this fiasco, and no reason why they did not agree to that. In terms of the dates, which they stated that were not accurate, so why was this suddenly done at the very last minute, and was there a reason they could not have worked these dates out earlier? So again, no address of that issue. And they also talked about harm. What was the specific harm in releasing the blue sheet data, or what was the specific harm in obviously allowing discovery? Let's now move on to have a look at the update with regard to the legal challenges. So first shout out here to Junk Savvy, who broke some news, and she stated here, Joseph F. Rose, Esquire of the Bazille law firm, has filed a petition in the New York State Supreme Court on behalf of Mmtlp Investor Group, Steamroller LLC. So that's the investor group that is taking the action with the Bazille law firm, and the petition is against the OTC market. So this is different compared to previous challenges that we've covered in terms of this is not against FINRA and it's not against the broker-dealer, and it's seeking the names of market makers and broker-dealers who listed Mmtlp for trading October 2021. So the key difference in this case, there will be no more defences of immunity and absolute immunity. So will be interesting to see how this develops. So what Mark Basile stated here, we will be publishing some new court information about our firm's client and Mmtlp shareholder activist group soon, so we'll wait for that. And what Mark's also stated here, in a further legal development, he's also representing JR before the United States District Court for Central Districts of Pennsylvania in an appeal in terms of his denial of the FOIA request and FOIA appeal. So this is going to be a case that he's going to be working on with no charge. So let's now have a look at the electronic filing of the case, and we can see here in the New York State electronic filing that this was submitted on the 6th of November 2023, and the petition is Steamroller LLC versus the OTC market group. So we can see here the Honourable Milton A. Tingling will hopefully be dealing with this, and in terms of the request for judicial intervention, we can see here the parties involved: Steamroller LLC, attorneys, obviously the Basile law firm, and the other party here is the OTC Markets Group, obviously based in New York. So let's see some additional details with regard to what they are seeking. Let's now have a look at some important aspects of the filing. So we can see here in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, LLC versus OTC Markets, and we can see that Robert Madden, who is over the age of 18, is a manager at Steamroller LLC, and it's also a shareholder of Mmtlp, the Series A preferred dividend, also known as Mmtlp. So if we have a look at the date here, we can see here 6th of November 2023, Robert Madden has stated he requests that the court grant the relief sought in Steamroller's petition to compel disclosure. So that's what they're looking for disclosure and information to show cause, together with granting all other such and further relief that is just and equitable. So it's not really focusing on a case of financial compensation or anything like that. It's more a case of trying to get information, and in particular about the parties behind the creation of Mmtlp, which will certainly help us going forward in all the other actions and cases that we are focusing on. So it also states here the petitioner cannot ascertain the identities of the prospective defendants. Petitioner does not know the true name or address of the unidentified brokers or market makers which applied for Series A preferred dividend to be listed on the OTC markets. Now, most of the Mmtlp investors certainly do know who they are, but what we need is through an official court channel for them to be officially identified, which will certainly make it easy to then take cases against the two market makers, and obviously seek some correction from that as well. So the petitioner is requiring the respondent to turn over this information, which will allow the petitioner to ascertain the name or address of the unidentified brokers and market makers behind. Now, if you remember in the Mmtlp FINRA FAQ Part 1, what FINRA stated is that the Form 211 was not submitted. There was an exemption, but they refused to share details. So FINRA, again, are also hiding behind the defense of immunity. So as far as they're concerned, they don't need to provide anything. So it also states here in the filing that the petition should be granted because the petitioner seeks the identity or identities of the prospective defendants to preserve information. So there seems to be potentially an implication here that this information is not released. It may not it could be potentially either destroyed or accidentally removed or no longer available. So the disclosure may be obtained to preserve information before an action is commenced. So this is something that is important because obviously it's necessary for the whole Mmtlp community. So success in this case will certainly benefit everybody. And Section D here, as a result of the illegal listing, brokers, market makers were able to artificially depress the dividends market value, so which is Mmtlp. causing significant financial harm not only to the petitioner but obviously all of us, and NextReg share exchange was prevented from taking place. So during the 20 days leading up to FINRA enacting the U3 halt, between November 18th and December the 8th, the trading volume of the stock was approximately 41.9 million, and of this 23.48 million consisted of short volume. So if you remember the latest release of the FINRA FAQs part 2, they stated that it was just over 1% shorted, so it does not correspond to the information that's shared in this filing. So it looks like certainly FINRA were very selective in the data that they choose to share. So it goes on to say here, in other words, 55.9% of the sales were short sales. That's quite staggering, and more than half of Mmtlp shares were sold from unknown and unidentified brokers that borrowed. So Mmtlp shares to sell, immediately sell with the anticipation of lowering the stock price through short selling. So again, we're talking here about rampant naked short selling, evidenced by the equity short interest data compiled and publicly available on the FINRA website, looking at artificially depressing the price of Mmtlp from $8.90 to $2.89 so per share. So that's a loss just in excess of $6 per share in 20 days. Finally, we're going to finish off by having a look at ticker symbol TNON. So you'll be able to see here, this was shared exclusively in the Discord prior to trading on the Monday. There was news in terms of FDA level 2 inspection that was passed, and a link shared there looking at the press release. So if we have a look at the chart here for TNON, also known as Tenon Medical Incorporated, we can see at time of editing, it is down today just in excess of 11%. However, over the previous 5 days, at one point it was up in excess of 200%, going from around about $1.50 at one point to trade in excess of $4.50. So it has come down a little bit, but we can still see right now still up in excess of 118% of the previous 5 days. So good opportunities there certainly to take profit. So if you would like to get next copy of our daily stock alerts and our weekly watch list that's always shared on a Sunday, details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.